Bricklink Series 5 is breaking all sorts of record with its pre-order crowdfunding process. And by changing a small rule to this series, we're seeing immense results that have never been quite experienced before. Of course, at the top, if you go to the pre-order section, you can see that Bricklink themselves have stated that there is huge demand for Series 5, and they have admitted it, and they want to get more product in the hands of fans. With that, they have stated that they intend to manufacture more sets for purchase and have seen immense increases in the number of pre-orders. The results of this series were so surprising, I was not even planning on making this video. I was all packed for Brick World Chicago, and I had to rip my gear out, get some gear I don't normally use out for this video to make a video real quick for you all, but that's just how crazy the results have been for Series 5 so far. Now, that being said, we have our 5 finalists here. I'm sure you all are very aware of them, so I won't go into too much detail. And it's also important to notice that there are only just over 14 days of total ordering for these sets. Normally we get around 30 days. That has been limited to, we'll say, 14 days with pre-orders ending June 24th. So that is an important factor also, as Bricklink doesn't want to let orders linger out to the end. So make sure you get your orders in very quickly if you intend to purchase any of these sets. Now, that being said, I do want to go into the innards, if you will, of the website to figure out what these quantities purchases actually are. So if I search really quick and type in margin left, and if I type it correctly, that would help, we can see real quickly the total number of orders for each. So at the top here, you can see this first percentage is total number of orders in there, and then this percentage here is the funded bar. Now, of course, we know, as I get my handy dandy calculator out, that total number of funded must be 3,000. 3,000 is 7.5% of the total. So if we divide by 7.5%, we get a total of 40,000. Now, this morning, Thieves of Tortuga was only at 34,000, or about 8%. They've dropped the funded bar to 7.5%, which makes the total available units increase to this 40,000. So we can see very quickly here that there are approximately 26,000 units or pre-orders that have been made so far for Thieves of Tortuga. So to know that those have increased as a result of purchases so far is just, it's interesting to me that Bricklink on the fly is making these changes. But moving on to a very, very interesting metric that I'm sure you all are very curious about is Adventure in Transylvania. Calculating these numbers, of course, we can see 76 total percent. The barrier for entry was 6%. So if I take 3,000 divided by 6%, 50,000 total units. Now, this morning, it was at 40,000 units. And between, we'll say, now and about 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, sometime in that range, Bricklink flipped a switch and increased the total number of orders from 40,000 total possible to 50,000. Of course, if we extrapolate that out, 76.428%, 38,000 total units have been purchased of the Bricklink Designer Program for Adventures in Transylvania. Now, I would say this probably doesn't surprise most of you because of the hype surrounding Adventures in Transylvania, but I'm just blown out of the water by the record we have seen with this set. Mind you, it is not a castle set. Normally, you'd probably say a castle set would get this easy beans. Adventure in Transylvania, which is more of a fantasy set, is breaking these records. Now, I'm sure you are also thinking to yourself, well, these other castle sets were capped out at 30,000 units right away. Would they have broken this record so far in less than 12 hours, hitting 38,000 units? And to that, I would say probably, but ultimately we will never know unless Bricklink decides to do this again. Now, scrolling up to the top of their website, we already know from seeing here that they are not guaranteeing that this will happen in the future. Of course, they say right at the top, this may not be the case for future series, but I would venture to say Bricklink is expecting that this could certainly be a possibility in the future moving forward with Series 6, Series 7, Series 8 pre-orders, and however many more series are to come. Obviously, I also want to know, did you purchase any of Series 5 pre-orders? Or did you have any favorites that made it to finalists in this series? I definitely want to know, because hey, if you're part of those pre-orders, you are certainly making history with this series being the first where they're pushing past that 30,000 unit. Nevertheless, they're pushing past it on the fly. This isn't just they've already decided on the output that they're going to cap it at 40,000. No, they've proven they are willing to move the marker as necessary, change the rules, if you will, to make these sets sell so much more than we would have expected in the past. On the flip side, how is this affecting the aftermarket? Well, we've already seen from previous series on eBay and third-party sales that the market has drastically softened up compared to previous Bricklink series, whether it's the CPA-fol program, 2021 Invitational, those 3 previous series. And that being said, I really don't think that the market is going to be as hot as it has been in the past. People, if they want these sets, they're going to get these sets. Now, obviously, there are always people who come late to the game or find out about these sets after the fact. Certainly, there will be those people, they will buy this third party, but will the price be as high? Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that will be sitting on a lot of these sets long term. They won't be able to move them as fast unless they're willing to, maximize the price at $400, no more than $450 maybe. I'm just kind of spitballing some prices out, but it'll be very interesting to see how the third-party market reacts to these sets when they ship in the October timeframe. I'll be interested to keep track of that. But that being said, very interesting to see how Bricklink has changed the rules on the fly and produced even more quantities for us as consumers to order. Is this something that you think is cool, or should they be locking quantity maximums? Should they be telling us up front what their maximum quantities will be, or is this something they are rightfully so in changing on the back end? Very curious to hear your thoughts about Bricklink Designer Program Series 5 and to see if they're going to do this again in the future.